What's up, guys? Welcome to this video again on my channel. So today we're going to be talking of your state management tools, but we are going to be emphasizing on your context API. So join me. Let's get started with the video. So firstly, what is context API? Context API is a built-in feature in React that allows you to share states globally across your application without having to pass prompts manually at every level. So basically, context API has three stages how it works. The first thing you will do is to create your context. The second thing you will do is to provide the context. And the third thing and the last you will do is to consume your context using your use context or consumer. So let's elaborate more on this on our code editor. So the first thing we're going to do now is to create a folder called context. I'm using the ideology of optimizing your codes, splitting your codes. So I'm going to create a folder called context inside your source folder. So let's create the folder context. So in this folder now, I'm going to create another file called context.jss where I'm going to import my create context. So context.jss. So let's import it. It's context. Yeah. So in this video, I'm going to be working with your team context. That is a functionality that is going to be moving your visuals or your UI from dark mode to light mode, which you normally see on movie websites. So let me export on this suggesting it here for me. Just follow me along. I'm going to be writing the code so that you guys that are beginners will not get confused. So I just created my context now and I'm exporting my team context. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to style my CSS, my app.css. So that when I'm going to create my team provider, I'll just put the values inside my team provider to carry it. So let me just give my index.css and my app.css the same code basically, just in case. So first thing I'm going to do now, I enter my app.css. I'm not using Tailwind here, so I'm just going to use a normal CSS. So let me start coding this bit by bit. So I'm working with the tag first. So I'm going to give this BG color of, let me say, black, and then the text color to be white. As it's suggesting here for me, text color white. Sorry, white. So if you know your normal CSS, you know that after each design or after each code of styling you make, you have to put a semicolon for you to tell your code editor that this is the end of the line. So next thing now we're going to be talking of is your light. Sorry, suggesting here for me. So I'm going to make use of my background color to be white, just basically swapping it from your dark, and then my text color to be black. So the next thing I'm going to do is to style the body just in case. Background color, okay, background color first. Then let me give it this BG color that I just gave it up here. so that it's going to be the background color of the website, your client side. So color, I'm going to give it the text color, and then let me make some animation to it. So I'll put transition. Let me make 0.3 seconds. Then it is it's going to animate with ease, not just like that after 0.3 seconds. So now let me just basically give the same style to my index.css just in case. Index.css is globally while your app.css is just for this your app.js, which is like your root entry points of your clients. So now let's go back to our context folder and create our theme provider. So I'm going to name a file and call it theme provider.jss. So that's it. So now in this your theme provider.css, I'm going to make use of my use states, use effects, split all the functionality. As you know, this is a common React JS interview question when they ask you the difference between use effects and use layout effects. Use effects, when you make use of use effects, the UI is going to paint first before your code inside the use effects load. In the sense that your whatever you're coding in your code editor to show on your browser is going to become visible on your browser first before the code in the use effects start working. But when you're using your use layout effects, the code in your use layout effect has to run first before whatever you're coding on your code editor will now become visible on your UI. That is basically the difference between your your use effects and your use layout effects. So use states, use effects. I'm going to make use of them in this video. Then I'm going to be importing my theme context from my context. That is this thing here, theme context. I'm going to be importing it into this file. So let's just do that. Then, as you know, basic React, I'm going to create my function theme provider, and it's going to have the children that are passing down just like a props. So let me call these children. Don't mind what I'm doing. You know, some of you I feel I don't know what I'm doing, but I put this effect on my code editor for some personal reasons by building bigger projects. To save my time, I just do this. It becomes more efficient for me. Then if it doesn't give me what I want, I now take my time to now correct them. It saves time. So don't really mind what I did. I don't have the strength to start removing all these things again. I don't even know how I did it again. So don't mind me. So let's continue. First thing I'm going to make use of my use state here. My initial state I'll call it team, and then set state I'll call it set team. This is to just change between your initial and your state. That is making a assigning something to a variable basically if you're using a layman knowledge, and then set team is in this context is meant to change the value of your team over time. That is how the thing work. So I'm going to pass it a state called light. That is, this is your team here is going to take the value inside this place initially, which is light. So now I'm going to now make use of my use effect. Like I explained earlier, right now you know what use effect is, you know the difference between use effect and use layout effect. So now this code now that I'm going to run inside here now. is going to function when my browser fails. To understand what I mean in my previous explanation. So just follow along because I'm going to be creating a JavaScript course, crash course soon. So just get along, follow along, you understand team. So I'm going to make use of my if statement here. If store team is true, then I'm going to pass down which is set team to store team else. Um, that we use preference of prefer that equals to Windows dot match media schema equals to that matches certain prefer that. This is also an if statement, but it's a ternary operator. To understand what ternary operator is, you not really need to know everything here because when I do my JavaScript course, you understand everything better. So let me start from this place first. Then along the way, when I have time, when I'm settled, I'll sit down and do a full JavaScript course for you guys to follow along. So that's basically it. Follow me. See, I'm just creating my team provider, storing things in the local storage because some of them when you change the feature on your laptop to dark theme, it might affect this dark theme and light theme functionality. So you have to mention that it works when you do those changes to your laptop or desktop or your mobile device or whatever. If you change it to dark theme in your device, it will still be respecting these changes that I'm making here. That's all I'm just ensuring down here. So that is just for you to know about all this side, this area. So let me now create the functionality to toggle the theme. Let me toggle theme goes to set theme. Let me use pre as previous equals to pre at binary operator dark light. So then if the previous image if the previous theme is equals to light, then when you press this toggle theme to change it to dark. But if it is dark, you press the toggle theme to change it to light. That's basically what this code line of code here means. So now we're going to now return our JSS. So so this was just else now to do here. So let me just press my tab key to take in all the variables. So I just created my team provider now. Let's create content dot provider. It's going to take in the value of team that your initial state, light, and then double team. That is just it. So whenever you press double team, it will change the features. So that is it for this file. The next thing now we are going to do is to move or render this team provider now. We want to wrap it now. We want to wrap our app inside this team provider. So in the just like these children here, like just in terms of these children here. So we go now and we'll do that. Team provider, that's the name of the folder of the file, sorry. We want to wrap this our app inside it, wrap our app inside the team provider. So I've not touched provider. Okay, so see it here. So what we just did now is that we just wrapped our app inside the team provider. So now moving on to the next page. So the next thing now you do is creating a file where you're going to render all these features that I've done and make them visible in our web browser. So now I'm going to create a folder called components and I'm going to create a file inside the folder called, let me say, bomboclat. So let's create a folder, components. So I said I'm going to create a file called bomboclat.jss. So in this my bomboclat.js, I'm going to now make all the features, all everything I want visible. So I'm going to make use of my use context that I said last in those three steps that is consuming the context. No, we have already done creating the context, we've done providing the context, and now we are doing consuming the context. So what I mean here, this file we created here was creating the context that are saying create context equals to the app. Then this second file, team provider, we are providing the context. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake here. I did not export this. I did not export this team provider. Sorry. So last thing I'm going to do here is to export it. As I was saying, we have created the context, we have provided the context. Now we have consumed the context actually, but want to now make it visible on our web page. So now we are in a file called bomboclat.js. In this file, we are going to make use of our use context and our team context, and then add some functionality when you're turning the JSS to make it more visible and good. So now let's get started. Use context, then let's now import our team context from context. Exactly. Then now let's now work with our combo class. So let's make use of the context. So as a suggesting here from everybody, team and then team use context, team context. So now let's return our JSS. So return sorry, the Let's make it give it a, for instance, your team is, let's make this initial state. Sorry, let's make this your initial state team. Then let's create a functionality when you click this button, that is toggle team. Let's change your theme. So let's just give it a 90. So this is the file. So next thing you're going to do is to export it. So you can use it in our app.js. So export bumble class. Now enter our app.js. Now import the bumble class. Bumble class. Then now render it in our application. Um, so the bumble class. So after doing this, you now export the app file. Export the app. Then you come to your main for JSS and remove this because I'm exporting it as a file. So after doing all that and also importing your app.css into your code, you come to your as you can see, functionality is now possible. It's now working fine. So that is all for your context API. So I want you guys to follow my channel, like and share to your friends. It might become helpful along your tech journey. Thanks for your time. Adios.